Are you ready? It is time for another episode of Broad Street and Beyond, where everything Philly sports at Central PA is in play. We leave those New York sports in the penalty box. And now, here's Chase and JT.
And we are back. 'Twas the week before Christmas, and here we are on Broad Street and Beyond. Of course, the latest episode diving into everything Central PA sports, everything Philly, Pittsburgh. We even touch on Baltimore, Washington. We let them in the mix here on Broad Street and Beyond. My name is Chase. That handsome fella, he is known as JT. How you making out there, JT?
You can't. Look at that. That's for my boy John Cena, who rode off into the sunset last week. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
I did see that. We may have to touch on some wrestling here today since they were just up at Hershey this past week. But lots going on here this week in the sports world. Also, before we even get there, we got to send out a big thank you to all of our subscribers here on our YouTube channel. We have grown just like mold on cheese. We're well over 300 subscribers now on Broad Street and Beyond. All thanks to you folks that are liking, subscribing, sharing our podcast. We do appreciate it. I mean, this is just something we do for fun. We're glad you're enjoying the podcast. Please let us know if you are enjoying it by, of course, liking, subscribing, and sharing. So we are moving in numbers here, JT, as they say.
Yes, we are. We thank you all so much. And because of you, we're growing like a fungus, and there's no stopping us.
That's right. That's right. You can only contain us at this point in time. As we do every single podcast with Broad Street and Beyond, we give JT 3 questions to warm himself up. It is the week before Christmas, so there is going to be a couple Christmas questions on this one. So are you ready, JT?
Let's do it. I'm all stretched out. Here we go.
He's cracking,
cracks,
the
man?
hands. Yeah, I heard the cracks. I heard them. At least it wasn't your back. At least it wasn't your back.
Those are old man cracks. All right, let's do it.
Here's the first one, buddy. Favorite drink during an Eagles game? It doesn't have to be win or loss either.
Usually, usually I don't drink a whole lot, so it's usually just an iced tea.
Turkey Hill iced tea or a handmade iced tea?
No, the Arizona brand, that Arnold Palmer mix, the light version. Yeah, that's like currency to me.
Favorite Christmas song of all time, JT?
I would have to say, "Happy Holidays," the holiday song by Andy Williams. Always love that song.
Okay, that's it.
And whenever I hear it, it puts me in a great mood.
And the most important third question, according to JT, how long should you leave up your Christmas lights after Christmas?
Well, I can only speak from experience in the Toscano household, and we are undecorated by New Year's Day.
Wow, by New Year's Day you take them down.
Yeah. Or maybe it might extend into the following weekend, but right after New Year's, man, we are undecorated, and it's back to what the holidays are over, right? What do you need to keep it up any longer for?
Okay. Hey, listen, I'm right there with you. Your wife needs to talk to my wife. We need to get that figured out here in my household because it always stays up well after New Year's Day at my house.
Really, any longer and it becomes a Valentine's Day tree, right? So you got to get that. Got to get it down. Got to be undecorated and tackle the new year.
I like your style, JT. I like your style. All right, let's dive into the sports. 3 questions are done and dusted with JT. Let's get into the sports. We're actually going to start with baseball this time around. The Phillies are actually starting to make some moves here in the offseason. Of course, just signed former Texas Rangers outfielder Dallas Garcia, 1-year deal, essentially putting some guys outside of the box and outside of Citizens Bank Park in that Phillies lineup. And they also just signed today Brad Keller to 2 years, $22 million. Have you seen that, JT, and your thoughts on those 2 offseason signings so far here with the Phils?
Well, Adolis Garcia, I mean, I don't know. The jury's out for me on that yet. I mean, he definitely adds some pop to the lineup, but he's also... Right. I mean, he's also a guy that he'll fit right in. He strikes out a lot too. I mean, I think they're hoping that his defense will add something to them in right field. I think he's a better upgrade defensively than Nick Castellanos was last year. But I mean, if you look at his numbers, he only batted .227 last year. He had 19 home runs. He had 75 RBIs. You compare that to what Castellanos gave him. Castellanos was .250 last year, 17 home runs, 72 RBIs. So, I mean, lineup wise, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he gives them a little swagger. He definitely gives them better defense, but I don't know. I'm a little skeptical because it seems like the past couple seasons when the Phillies have tried to uh, shore up the outfield, it doesn't really work out. I mean, you go back to Whit Merrifield, that didn't work out. The one trade deadline they brought in Austin Hayes, that didn't work out. Last year it was Max Kepler, that really didn't work out. They brought him in on a 1-year deal. So I'm really skeptical on whether or not this is just another one of those long line of failed short-term options in the outfield. Or if this ends up being a 1-year prove it deal for Garcia. I know a lot of Phillies fans aren't very happy with the fact that Dave Dombrowski came out yesterday and said he felt like the Phillies outfield was, quote, pretty much set.
Complete. Yeah.
So it looks like now I'm sure they'll look at some other options as for a fourth outfielder, whether that's someone already on the team or in the organization, or they sign somebody else, maybe less flashy than what Garcia is. But I mean, right now it's looking like Garcia is going to play right field, Brandon Marsh in left field, and then they're going to give Justin Crawford every opportunity to be the everyday center fielder, because it's looking more and more like Harrison Bader's not going to be back, which I'm disappointed in. I really like Bader. I thought he added a little swagger. He was definitely a fantastic defensive center fielder, and I thought he gave him a little bit of juice at the plate. Now, whether that was indicative of what he would bring you as an everyday center fielder for the whole season, that remains to be seen. But we'll see.
But you got to give him a shot.
That outfield, that outfield doesn't excite me, but again, it all really hinges on Justin Crawford. I mean, they're putting a lot of eggs in that basket. Justin Crawford did really well last year in AAA, and fans were clamoring for him to be called up. Well, he's going to be the everyday center fielder, at least for a while. So we'll see how it shakes out. But the Brad Keller signing was really nice.
Before we get there, don't go there. Don't go there yet. Don't go there yet.
Okay.
Don't go there yet. Let's touch on this whole thing with Garcia in the outfield here. Okay. Before we go any further, I got to get your take, because I've been thinking about this all day today with the Garcia signing, his energy, his passion that he does bring. Like you said, he's a good fielder. He is a good fielder. His bat is kind of spotty. But we also have Brandon Marsh out there. I know he's a left-handed bat. I like the idea of Justin Crawford coming in and playing in the outfield. I do like that move 100%. But as far as, wouldn't have Harrison Bader been a better option than Brandon Marsh in the outfield, bringing that energy, this spunk to the locker room, just like Garcia does, having that kind of mix in the outfield with Garcia and Bader in the outfield? Isn't that a better mix than bringing back a guy like Brandon Marsh?
Well, Brandon Marsh is already under contract. They didn't resign, so they were going to have to resign Harrison Bader. So I don't know. Again, I don't know what kind of payroll number that the Phillies have had in mind for what their roster is going to look like. And, I guess we'll find out for sure once Harrison Bader signs somewhere how many years he's getting and how much money a team is willing to pay him. And my guess is whatever he's going to get, it's probably more than the Phillies were willing to pay him. I mean, it was clear, the fact once you saw that they had a mutual option and that they both agreed that they were going to opt out of, I thought it was kind of unlikely that he was going to be back. But I'm as disappointed as you are. I really liked Harrison Bader. I agreed. I think a Garcia, Bader, and maybe having Justin Crawford play left field, if that was feasible or not, whether or not he would make a good left fielder, I don't know. I would think if he makes a good center fielder, he would make it for a good left fielder. Now, if you give me that outfield, then I would be pretty excited. I think you'd have a great defensive outfield, and I think you'd have the potential for a lot of a pop in the lineup from your outfield. And it would definitely be an upgrade into what they had last year. So, yeah, I mean, I would agree with you, but again, I think based on the payroll number that Phillies ownership and Dave Dombrowski had in mind, I think they weren't willing to invest that kind of money in Harrison Bader.
It looks like they still have some more work to do in that outfield. I mean, letting Bader go and Castellanos go, I mean,
Well,
that is not a complete outfield by any stretch of the imagination yet.
no, but really what I want to see is what is the infield going to look like? I hope they're not
Right.
set. I mean, obviously there's not going to be major changes. I mean, obviously Turner's going to be at shortstop. Bryson Stott's going to be at second, I would assume, and Harper at first. I'm curious to see what they do at third base. I mean, I don't think it's been any secret that the Phillies have tried to shop Alec Boehm. I don't think they would be opposed to moving on from him. So I want to see if he's part of some kind of trade in this offseason yet and see if they can maybe retool the infield a little bit, however, minor it might be.
Right.
Because I just don't. When I look at that lineup, it still doesn't. I mean, they're putting a lot of eggs in the fact that Garcia is going to give them more offensively than what they got out of Nick Castellanos. But I don't know. Man, I still don't know if I like Bohm in that lineup hitting behind. What would he be hitting, fifth or sixth? In that
Probably.
lineup. I feel like they need a really proven guy in that number 5 spot. Cause I mean, you're probably going to go, well, I don't know who, I guess would Crawford. I don't even know who would be leadoff. Are they going to go back to Schwarber in the leadoff spot? Is it Trey
Good.
Turner? You know,
Probably be Schwarber.
uh,
Probably be Schwarber.
oh man, I kind
There's
of
a lot
like
of
Schwarber
questions.
in the cleanup spot last year.
Okay. There's a lot of questions going into this offseason with the Phillies. I mean, they've got to revamp that lineup. One guy is not going to do the trick, and in Garcia, it's like you just said, he is not going to compensate for that offense of what they didn't do the past couple of years, too. But we got to wait and see. I mean, hopefully they are far from done in the offseason here. They just picked up Brad Keller. Let's talk briefly about the Brad Keller pickup. A nice back end to the bullpen there, JT, and what he brings to the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, he's a good high leverage right-hander. That's one move that I didn't see coming. 2 years, I think it's what, 22 million, 22 million. I think they got him on.
22
Um,
million. Yep.
yeah, yeah, I think that's a really nice pickup. I think he's going to complement them well. What was it, a 2.07 ERA last year? 68
75
strikeouts
strikeouts.
in 69 and I'm sorry, 75 strikeouts and 69 and two-thirds
Yep.
innings. 68 is the
Yep.
number of appearances he had. He only had 22 walks, 4-2
Right.
last year. Again, I think they were maybe missing a reliable right-handed reliever that they felt like they could go to, especially last year in crunch time, as you got into the postseason. So
Yep.
I think that's only going to help them. They got Duran back, as the closer. I'm assuming Alvarado will be back this year. Hopefully new and improved. They've got Kerkering as well. Matt Strom will be there. So I believe Matt Strom is back, if I'm not
I believe
mistaken.
so.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he definitely was a needed addition. And hopefully that stretches out that bullpen nicely and can really help out the rotation when needed.
Yeah, nice compliment there to Duran in the later innings and good help in the back end, but obviously still a lot of work to do in that bullpen as well for the Philadelphia Phillies. Switching gears to the National Hockey League, let's get at it. The Metro Division is starting to fall off the wayside here, JT. We've only been gone for a week, and the Capitals are falling apart. The Penguins are falling apart. The Flyers are falling apart. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just start with the Capitals, who have now dropped to fourth place in that Metro Division, 18-11-4, lost 4 of their last 5. The latest was a thumping last night, shutout last night, 5-0 by Minnesota last evening. Not a good outing at all for the Washington Capitals. What are you seeing in the week that we missed with the Washington Capitals, JT?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and this is something we've talked about a lot before, but with that division as tight as it is, all it takes is a little bit of a sputter, and next thing you know, you're going from feeling pretty good about where you're at in the division to next thing you know, oh my gosh, we're in fourth or fifth place. I mean, the Flyers have experienced that
Right.
multiple times this season. The Penguins were as high as second, the Caps were as high as first. Um, it's funny that they had that game about a week ago. It was a big one. It was one that we talked about before. That we were looking forward to was the game against the Hurricanes at home. And that was a pretty good
Right.
game. They had two leads in that game. They were up 1-0 and 2-1. They ended up giving up the tying goal pretty late in regulation. I think there was like just over 2 minutes to go. Actually happened just as the Hurricanes were pulling their goalie for the extra attacker. I think they got the game time goal from Stankoven. And then they ended up losing in the shootout, which the Caps have not been very good in a shootout. And it's almost felt like there's been a hangover ever since. They hit the road now for these last two, and they lost in Winnipeg 5-1, and Winnipeg's like a pretty decent team this year. It's not like the Winnipeg teams of the past 2-3 seasons. That was disappointing 5-1. And then I guess they're just hitting the Wild at the wrong time because that was Minnesota's like fifth win in a row. Obviously, they've got a lot of juice now. They just pulled off the huge trade for Quinn Hughes.
They're on fire
Kaprizov's
at
really
home,
starting
too.
to heat up. So yeah, they really are. They got a couple of goals last night from Tarasenko, and yeah, so I guess they're just the Caps are just going to have to work their way out of it. They got a game coming up against the Leafs, and then they got a home and home this weekend with the Red Wings. So yeah, this is where I wonder if we'll start to see a little bit of separation, because you feel like this division, they can't be this jammed together forever, right? I mean, eventually
Right.
some teams are going to start to fall off. Um, but I don't know. Like, you look at a team like the Islanders, you thought, well, they're falling off. Well, they've kind of surged up in this
Yeah.
second place.
Past
They
couple
got
games.
they got on a little bit of a roll. The Penguins have faltered a little bit. The Flyers are kind of holding steady. They moved up into third place. So, but yeah, as far as Washington goes, I mean, they're relatively healthy. I guess the only big injury they have right now is Ryan Leonard. He's going to be out 3 or 4 weeks now. He's on
Yeah.
injured reserve. He's got a lower body injury, but I mean, they have they have everyone else back. I'm curious if they could have gotten that win over the Hurricanes, if that would have changed the trajectory of everything, if that would have really boosted them, and because it just, I don't know, it's just like they that was a winnable game for them. I mean, the Hurricanes are a tough team to beat. They had a chance, but it's just like there's been like a real hangover with this team as they hit the road here. It's like they've hit a real flat spot right now in their season.
They really can't find any momentum since that Carolina game. I mean, they've been outscored 10-1 here in the past two games. Like you mentioned, Wild, they're 11-0-2 in their last 13 home games. It wasn't a bad first period for the Capitals. Actually had a pretty decent first period, but they just kind of ran out of juice. Spencer Carberry even said, I think yesterday after the game, he said the majority of the group right now struggling to execute and finish, especially the last four games. Overall, okay game for the Caps, but a lot of things to work on before they take on Toronto. Over to the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are having some issues of their own, especially the last three games here. Just did a trade with, of course, the Edmonton Oilers, who they played last night. JT, they lost last evening. Then the prior two games, blowing 4-goal leads going into that third period. It ended up losing those last two games. The Penguins are faltering.
Now, it seems like they've fallen back into some bad habits that have plagued them in the past. Kind of the MO on the Penguins before has been, they've got some tool, they can definitely score with anybody, with Crosby and Malkin, and the depth they have on all three of their lines. They can definitely generate offense, but the knock on them has been, they can be a little leaky defensively. They get into some bad habits defensively. They take too many risks. But for the most part this year, that hasn't really happened. Like, like Letang and Eric Carlson, like all those guys, like they've been playing pretty pretty solid. And then it's just like, it was weird, but even before the games that we're going to talk about here in a second with San Jose and Utah, they had a really weird loss against the Ducks at home. It was a game in which they had a 3-2 lead, and they gave up the tying goal like in the closing seconds while the Ducks were shorthanded. and it was like a rush up the ice, and they scored in like the closing. I think it was like maybe with like 1 or 2 seconds left on the clock. The Ducks got the tying goal, and then they ended up winning that game, I believe, in a shootout. But then, then they bring, they've got the Sharks. What was it, a 5-1 lead in that game? They gave up 4 third
5-1
period
in
goals.
the third
They gave up
period. Yep, 5-1.
right. Yeah, and then they had a 3-goal lead. They had like a 3-0 lead. I think it was after 2 or late in the second period against Utah. They gave up 4 goals in that one, ended up losing in overtime. They give up another 6 goals last night to Edmonton. Yeah, they're a little leaky right now. In fact, they ended up losing, and I think I read this is the first time this has happened in franchise history. They lost all 5 games of that homestand. They had all those teams coming in at home, and they lost all 5 games. And again, uh, you know, if you're a Penguins fan, you got to look and you see, well, I mean, my goodness, they definitely could have beaten the Ducks. They make one more defensive play. And you got, I mean, up 4 goals against the Sharks. And the Sharks have a lot of weapons this year. They're a pretty dynamic team offensively. They don't defend very well. But I mean,
Right.
come on, you're up 5-1 against them in your own building. You got to find a way to lock that down. And same thing with Utah. I mean, I don't know, you can't cough leads like that up.
It looks like for Pittsburgh, I mean, we can mention the trade, too, that they did last Friday. Tristan Jarry and also Sam Poulin traded to Edmonton for Stuart Skinner, defenseman Brett Kulik, and a second-round draft pick in 2029, which I thought was really interesting last night. Skinner literally wearing the Edmonton Oilers goalie mask. Tristan Jarry at the other end
really?
wearing the black Penguins pads. I mean, it looked like a pickup hockey game for those two goalies because they were pretty much wearing the gear that they were wearing for the opposite team that they were playing last night. But it was a wild game last night. I mean, the Oilers jumped out to that 2-0 lead. Connor McDavid, is he not just the best player in the National Hockey League right now?
He's so fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy that just a guy that can just impact a game at the drop of a hat.
Exciting.
That's him. And I love when they're on the power play and you've got McDavid out there with Draisaitl. I mean, that's like magic watching the two of them work the opposition on the power play. But yeah, it almost looks like with them wearing the opposite masks, almost like they made a trade during the intermission or something. They both
Right.
teams decided to switch goalies, and they didn't have their new masks yet, so they just switched jerseys but the same masks. Yeah, that's pretty funny. That was an interesting trade. I'll be honest. I don't know that. I guess maybe both teams are thinking that a change of scenery will help the other one because, I mean, I don't know. When I look at when I look at Jari and I look at Skinner, to me, it's kind of like a wash almost. I don't know
Same
that.
trade.
Yeah, I don't know that either one was really a big upgrade over the other. That's just now. I'm an observer from the outside. I'm not like a tried and true diehard Penguins fan by any stretch, but nor am I an Edmonton fan. But I don't know. It just kind of looks like two pretty decent goalies changing teams.
Yeah, and last night you saw that too with the both goalies. I mean, Edmonton got that early lead 2-0. Pittsburgh got into some penalty trouble early. At one point in time, there's 3 guys in the box for Pittsburgh, and that's when Edmonton came down and scored twice, almost back-to-back to take that 2-0 lead early in the first period. But both the guys, I mean, both of them were peppered in that game, especially Skinner right off the bat in that first period, and he showed wear and tear after that first period going into the second and the third.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I don't know if it'll be interesting to see. I know Skinner has a little bit of playoff experience, and so does Jari for that matter. I guess Edmonton felt like they'd seen all they wanted to see out of Stuart Skinner. I mean, he was, he's okay. He was okay in the playoffs. I think, they kind of like went with him for a while, and then they would go with Calvin Pickard, and maybe they feel like Jari has a chance to be more of a stabilizing force for them. Maybe they feel like he's a little bit more durable, but we'll see here as the season goes on. The Penguins, they gotta figure it out quick. I mean, I'm sure Losing five in a row on that homestand is not what they were thinking. So we'll see. But again, we get back to this whole thing with this Metro division. You go on just that little bit of skid right now, and all of a sudden you're staring up at a bunch of teams.
Yeah, 0-2-3 for the Pittsburgh Penguins on that homestand. Thursday night, Ottawa, 2-game road trip for them, switching over to the Philadelphia Flyers. They're having the issues of their own, and up until last night, got a big win last night, but they did, up to that point, lose 3 straight. We're getting points in those 3 straight losses that they did get, but they were 3 straight losses, JT, but a really solid game last night for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, they played pretty well. They gave up the first goal, but then they responded quickly and got the game tying goal. And then after they took the lead, they played really good. After they gave up the first goal, they played a really good rest of the first period. They played a really good second period. Then Montreal did press the issue, and they've got a lot of skill, does Montreal. But Vladar was on his game last night, and he made a couple of big saves. I feel like they had these back-to-back shootout losses to Carolina. I kind of struggle with this. I watch the Flyers a lot, and I still can't get a sense of whether or not they're a good team. I just don't know. I don't know if they're like the same team, but maybe just a little bit better goaltending. I mean, the record says they're better. They're in almost every game. There's been very few games you can probably count on one hand the number of games that they had no shot at winning. That they've really been blown out from the start, and you're like they've got no shot. Even when they're going up against some pretty good teams. I mean, they had a loss to Vegas. They've lost now in overtime to Carolina. They lost in overtime to Edmonton. They lost twice to Carolina in a shootout. I feel like they need a little bit more. We'll see. Now, if they can do pretty well on this road trip they're on, maybe I'll change my mind. But I feel like they still have something missing. Now they got some really bad news. Now, we talked about Tyson Forster before, that he was going to be out 2 to 3 months. Well, now they came out and said he's going to be out for the season, the regular season. Maybe there's a chance if they make the playoffs, he could come back, but that's a little disappointing, I think. But yeah, I feel like I feel like there's still another move to be made, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. They did get Rasmus Ristolainen back on defense, so that maybe shores up the blue line a little bit. But we'll see if they can get some momentum going here.
I think they have some missing pieces. It's like you just said. A lot of those younger guys are not stepping up here for the Flyers. Goal scoring at times has not been an issue for them, but going forward in some of these games, they got to score a lot more goals than what they are scoring. And like the Michkov, the Noah Cates, I mean, you expect to see more of that from their third and probably their fourth line, and you're not seeing it right now. So, and to answer your question, I think the Flyers are a good team. I mean, they're almost on that cusp of making it to that next level, but they just are missing a couple pieces in order to get there. And I think a lot of those guys are buying into the Rick Tocchet system at this point in time of the season, but they just have not hit the eclipse of their season as of yet because of the missing pieces that they have. And could it be because of Forster too not being in that lineup? That could have a huge impact on them going forward. So what is Danny Briere and the rest of those guys, what is Jonesy going to do up there at the top and to take them to that next level? Because that's what they need to do right now is get some missing pieces, fill in the spots that they're not getting contributions from on maybe that third and fourth line, and that may put those guys over the hump.
Yeah, I feel like when you're watching like one of the really good teams in the league, like there's like one, like those teams have like 2 lines and you're like, oh, everybody, they've got somebody on every line that you're like, oh, we've got to pay attention to this guy. They can really do some damage. When I'm watching the Flyers, I only feel like right. And when I'm watching the Flyers, I only feel like they're that type of team when like Trevor Zegras is on the ice. Like he's that type of guy. He's highly skilled that when he's possessing the puck, he's going to create something. He's going to make something happen. he's gonna generate a scoring chance. I feel like they don't have that guy right now on the other lines. You're kind of hoping that Michkov would be that guy, but he's really, whether it be a sophomore
Yet.
slump or the fact that he had a horrible offseason training and is just out of shape and is just behind the eight ball, he hasn't been that guy so far this year. So I was kind of thinking that maybe he could be that guy, but it hasn't happened yet. But I just feel like they need more. They need another high end guy, and I don't know how you get that. Again, maybe they make a trade and they change up the mix and bring somebody else in. Um, you know, maybe Buffalo could be a trade partner with them. They just fired their GM who's looking to change things up, so maybe they could work out something with Buffalo and bring somebody in that the Sabres have and maybe change up the mix a little bit for the Flyers offensive.
Yeah, Bobby Brink has shown glimpses of hope too this year. Grunstrom had a fairly decent game last night, so those guys just need to play consistently, and the Flyers got to play that 60-minute hockey that in some games have not been there. So we'll see what happens with the Philadelphia Flyers. Up next for them Thursday night against Buffalo. Over to the American Hockey League. Our Hershey Bears. I'm sporting the Christmas sweater today, JT. I think I have 3 of these. Week before Christmas, tale of 2 games for the Hershey Bears. Coming out Friday night very flat and getting just blown away by Providence. And then, of course, coming out with a win the following game over the weekend with the Hershey Bears. A win 4-0, taking on the Checkers Saturday night. Totally 2 different games, Friday and Saturday night. I was at the game Friday night. We actually left early because of what we were watching on the ice. It wasn't very good, wasn't very consistent. Half and half weekend once again for the Hershey Bears. Still kind of not very consistent hockey from the chocolate and white again.
Were you trying? What was that about? Were you trying to get a jump on traffic?
No, actually, I wasn't feeling well. I wasn't feeling well, and Mini Hopper at a baton competition the next morning. I was just there for the bobblehead.
Did you walk? You turned around and walked up the steps. You turned your back on the Bears.
They did not. They did not look good Friday night. Friday night was and it was probably one of the worst hockey games I've seen at the Giants Center. It probably was one of the worst games. Inconsistent puck control. The Hershey Bears do this where you watch the games and they put together like 2-3 passes. And that's all they get. Then they're turning the puck over. That's what they did against Providence. Providence is a fantastic hockey team, and they just could not keep up with Providence in that hockey game at all, watching it on the ice. And they looked flat. They really looked tired. I mean, they really didn't look like a team that was in the midst of a 9-game homestand. Game number 7, it didn't look like they were sleeping in their own beds at all. It looks like they just came off of a road trip. They looked very, very flat in that game on Friday night.
Well, I think you and I talked about this yesterday off air, and it seems like as we sit here and talk about this in mid-December, that Providence and Wilkes-Barre Scranton are sort of rising to the top right now. They're the clear top dogs right now in the Atlantic Division, and then it's just kind of the next tier of everybody kind of jockeying for position. And after that, it's then it's the Bears, the Phantoms, and the Charlotte Checkers, all kind of and then you've got your lower tier with Springfield. But it looks like early on anyway that the Bears are not matching up well with Wilkes-Barre Scranton and Providence. Now the Bears did get that early win in Providence. I think it was like 2-0. That was much earlier in the season. But then these back-to-back home losses. Wilkes-Barre Scranton, again, they've done okay against Wilkes-Barre Scranton. Now they're going to be playing them on the road for the first time coming up. I believe that is next week, if I'm not mistaken. They've got a game in Wilkes-Barre Scranton. I think that's next weekend, not this weekend, because they close out the homestand this coming weekend against Bridgeport. Yeah, it's a little. I think if you're a Bears fan, it's a little disappointing that they're you like their chances against Bridgeport, but I think you were hoping they could make some better hay on this 9-game homestand. And it was kind of, it's kind of like middle of the road, I would say, as far as really a mixed bag of results when you look back at this homestand as a whole, no matter what happens this weekend against Bridgeport.
Yeah, and Mitch Gibson was in goal. Had an outstanding game on Saturday night. He's now 5-0-0 on the season. Miroshnichenko looked good. I mean, you're getting the same guys that are looking good night in and night out, and not getting that consistent hockey. 0 for 5. Charlotte was on the power play. On Saturday night, Bears went 1 for 6. Nicky Lieberman was back for the first time since his preseason action. Lower body injury. Can he make a difference? We'll see if that happens. Bogdan Trinyev, he was called up to the Caps, played his first NHL game over the weekend as well. So call-ups, injuries starting to maybe affect the Hershey Bears, but they can't have games that are back-to-back where it's just a tale of two different games. And I think that's what we're going to see from a young team, night in, night out from the Hershey Bears when they have 2 or 3 games back-to-back-to-back.
Now, I'm assuming are Matt Strome and Spencer Smallman, are they still both out of the lineup as well?
Yes, they're both out. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll
don't. I guess I didn't get a real sense of if those are long-term injuries or not. But those certainly don't help either. Having those guys out and I don't know what kind of depth. What kind of depth they really have, and they're starting to find out right now. So you would like to at least see them close out the homestand on a high note, and we'll see what happens next week as they start to play. They had a heavy dose now of Providence and Wilkes-Barre Scranton. It didn't pan out as well, but we'll see what happens.
Right.
I'm particularly intrigued to see how they look next weekend when they head up to Wilkes-Barre against the Baby Pens.
Yeah, when the Bears are clicking, they're a fun team to watch, but there's just been times like Friday night where they've just been real inconsistent, looked flat, and no energy, no vibe, no jam in their game, and that was evident this past weekend on Friday night, not so much on Saturday night. Let's switch over to the National Basketball Association, touch on that briefly because the Sixers only played 2 games, JT. We're done with the NBA Cup. The New York Knicks won the NBA Cup the other evening. Sixers without Tyrese Maxey the past couple of games. Split the difference there. They got a win Friday night against Indiana, 115-105. Then they come out, lose 120-117 versus Atlanta. They don't play till Friday now. What are you seeing from the Sixers here the past week?
Pretty much the same. I mean, it's disappointing not to have Maxey the last 2 games. Now it looks like Paul George has started to play pretty well. Embiid hasn't been bad. VJ Edgecombe helped pick up the slack in Maxey's absence against Atlanta. That was a tough one. They've actually played Atlanta 2 really good games this year and lost both of them. A couple Sundays ago, they lost to the Hawks at home in double overtime, and then they lost by 3 in Atlanta. Atlanta's not a bad team. I actually think Atlanta has a really good chance to be a playoff team this year, like not in, like almost maybe in the top 6, not in the play-in tournament. We'll see. I think, you get Maxey back. If Paul George starts to round into form a little bit, I think that could make a little bit of a difference. Embiid, to me, that's just like a pleasant surprise whenever you get what you get. He had 39 against the Pacers, looked really well. I think you'll probably have spurts like this with him, but then I think, it seems like his body will, I don't know if break down or betray him or whatever. We'll see. I think he can go a little bit, and then he starts to develop some issues with some knee soreness and stiffness, and then he's going to have to sit out a little bit. I just think it's going to be tough. Again, Paul George, you're not sure. It's tough, I think, to know night in and night out what this lineup is going to look like. And it's really hard to, and because of that, it's hard to get any kind of consistency going. Unless everybody gets hurt, I don't think it'll be a total disaster like it was last year, which puts them somewhere, I don't know what, play-in tournament or 6th seed, 7th seed. You know what I mean? It's maybe 5th seed if everything falls right. But the East is pretty unpredictable this year. I don't think there's like a clear front runner. Maybe it's the Knicks. Maybe the Knicks will be propelled by winning this NBA Cup last night over the Spurs. By the way, I had a watch party last night. I invited you, and you weren't there. So where were you?
I didn't get the invite.
I
didn't get the
I
invite. I didn't
I
get the
invited
invite.
I invited all these people. You were
The,
I
the,
thought I
the,
invited you.
the high executives, is all those people you invited, all those high executives and
I had all
who's
the
who
I
in
had a nice
Lebanon
spread
County?
laid out for yeah, I had all the spread laid out. It was an NBA Cup watch party and nobody showed up.
As well, they shouldn't have. I'm glad they didn't. For the
They missed.
Sixers, though, I hope each night they can get what they got from Edgecombe the other night. I mean, 26 points from him. That is good to see. He's finally maybe getting into that rhythm from early season when he was, scoring 20-plus points each night. He's gotten away from that the past couple of games. Didn't get much bench contribution in the last game either against Atlanta, so the bench got to step it up. They're hit or miss. They get their contributions. They don't get their contributions, but we'll see with Tyrese Maxey out and a couple other guys that are still out on injury. The Sixers probably going to be this way all season long. We've talked about it the past couple of podcasts, and it's probably what you're going to see from the Philadelphia 76ers all season. Competitive team, fun to watch, but they're going to be kind of hit or miss each night, and you never know what you're going to get from them.
Well, I mean, if a guy like Maxey's out, that's going to put Quentin Grimes into the starting lineup, and then at that point, you're not going to get. I mean, to me, Quentin Grimes is really the only proven scorer they have coming off the bench.
Sure.
Everyone else that comes off the bench is more of like a role player, a complimentary guy. So to me, if when you're looking for a guy to give you like a lot of offense, that it's Quentin Grimes or it's nobody else.
JT, let's switch over to the National Football League. Our final sports topic of the podcast here on Broad Street and Beyond. The Eagles took on the Lonely Raiders in week number 15. They got the win. They shut them out, but is it a good measuring stick this past week? How much can you gain from this game that the Eagles played against the Raiders, shutting them out 31-0? How much can you gauge from the Oakland Raiders and the Eagles getting the win over the Raiders this past weekend?
Well, you can gain a little bit. I mean, like the execution portion of it, like it looked pretty good. It looked more efficient. It looked
Right.
a lot smoother. Now that being said, they were going against a really inferior opponent. I mean, it was kind of like call it like a get right game. Like they were able to do what they thought they were going to be able to do more consistently all season. Um, they've got a pretty favorable stretch here. Allegedly down the stretch, they've got two of their last three against the Commanders, who are now decided to sit Jaden Daniels the rest of the year and go with Marcus Mariota. I mean, they would really, really have to. From my standpoint, at least I can back off the 2023 talk after they beat the Raiders. Now, I might be right back on that if they lay an egg on Saturday against the Commanders. But I mean, they would really, really, really have to screw this up not to end up winning the division. Now, after that, uh, your guess is as good as mine. It all depends on, how healthy they are. Do they once they have the division locked up, and if they're locked into a certain seed, do they try to, rest some guys? I don't know. We'll see. At least it was good for 1 week anyway to have an easy win, a game that you could just sit there and watch and not stress about. You would
Yeah.
think they have the ability to do that again this coming Saturday, but again, sometimes the Eagles can be a little spacey offensively, and they've also had some weird results when they've gone to Washington the past couple of years. Last year that was the game that Jalen Hurts got injured, and they had to try to win that game with Kenny Pickett, and it kind of fell apart. They faltered late. So we'll see. I guess it's one more win, and either one more win or one more Cowboys loss, and the Eagles will clinch the
Get the
NFC
division.
East. And at this point, it's looking. I'm guessing 3 seed is probably the most realistic outcome for them. If I had
Probably.
to,
Yeah.
if I had to guess, so that would mean at least a first round home game. And then, unlike other years, though, they're going to spend. When the Eagles have made these runs in the past in the postseason, they've gotten to play at home the whole way. This year, they're going to have if they want to make another run through the playoffs, they're going to have to find a way to get it done on the road, because unless everything breaks their way, they're going to probably be on the road after the first round.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts looked pretty good, too. I mean, the offense looked pretty decent. The mix of the pass, the run, they got that going. I mean, does that help them going forward here in the playoffs? Does it give some momentum to maybe Jalen Hurts, knowing that, he's heard all the noise the past couple of weeks, even though he said he did not hear any of the noise when he asked after post-game that he heard zero noise from the media. Does this help Jalen Hurts moving forward?
Well, I think it should give him a little more confidence, you would hope. Um, but I mean, you can see what
Right?
happens when they're able to get some kind of a run game going. I mean, everything just sort of settles in nicely, and it all of a
It
sudden
flows.
everything there's more tempo, there's more of a rhythm going. The defense. I mean, they kind of picked up right where they left off. Um, they're looking pretty good again. I think there's some good stuff that you could take from there, but I think the key is not to overreact and remember that it was, the Raiders. And I mean, when you look at I mean, you talk about a franchise that just, I mean,
Disarray.
there's like a couple of teams in the NFL that just like the Jets, the Browns, and the Raiders. I mean, you talk about never getting it right. I mean, how
Yeah.
how long have they been at this now? The Dolphins, there's another one.
Well, that's why the Raiders moved, right, to Las Vegas. They were supposed to make all these moves, and it's not a good football team. It is not a
I
good
think they've
football
gotten
team
I think they've
at
gotten
all.
worse since they moved to Vegas.
Yeah, it looks that way. They did not look impressive at all. Eagles looked fairly decent. I mean, against a 2-win NFL football team. Brandon Graham had a good game. That was good to see with 2 sacks. He got one of the game balls, which was awesome to see, too. So on to Washington. Keep in mind, it is a Saturday game this weekend. That's when the Saturday games begin here in the National Football League. So the Eagles will play Saturday, 4 o'clock, I believe, JT, correct?
It is 4 o'clock, yes.
4 o'clock Saturday, Birds and the Commanders. Over to the AFC, the Ravens stay alive in that AFC North with a big win over the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow throwing 2 interceptions in that ball game. Lamar Jackson looked pretty decent in that game as well. The Ravens hang tight and still may win that division, JT.
Yeah, that was a nice. I'll give them credit. That was a nice bounce back win. That was probably one of the better games Lamar Jackson's had the past couple of weeks. Remember, that was a team that pretty much blew their doors off on Thanksgiving night in Baltimore, 32-14.
Yep.
That was Joe Burrow's first game back from injury, and he looked really good. And then, I don't. He looked like he just didn't have it on Sunday, but Lamar Jackson looked a lot better. They ran the ball pretty well. Derrick Henry had 100 yards rushing. Lamar Jackson was able to spread the ball around a little bit, had a couple of touchdown passes, and then, the defense, that was the best that I think the defense looked in a while. And then Gilman's 84-yard pick six in the fourth quarter, that pretty much, that sealed it for them. So yeah, I still think they've got the tougher road ahead of them down the stretch than the Steelers do, but they're still right there. They're still nipping at Pittsburgh's heels, and we'll see what happens these next 2 weeks. I think it would be cool as a football fan to see it come down to week 18. The Steelers Ravens game for winner takes the division and goes to the playoffs.
Cincinnati didn't look too good. 3 for 15 on third down conversions. Not very good in that aspect of it. Joe Burrow, like you said, just looked completely out of it. We'll see what the Ravens do because the top 2 teams now in the AFC North got 2 tough teams coming up. New England for Baltimore, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers, who got a big win, probably one of their best games they played all season long against the Miami Dolphins on Monday Night Football. They got a win, and next up for them is now the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I think if either, boy, if the Ravens are able to knock off the Patriots or the Steelers can beat the Lions, I mean, honestly, I would be surprised. I would be stunned if both teams win this weekend, just because of the caliber of opponent. I would, if I had to pick to see which team would win, I don't know. Let me see. So are the Ravens at New England, or is it the other way around?
Steelers are at
The
Detroit
Steelers
on Sunday.
The Steelers are at Detroit, and the Ravens are. I can get that in the click of a button. The Ravens are home against the Patriots, and that's on Sunday night. So, I mean, I guess
I'm taking the
if I had to
Steelers.
if I had to guess, You think the Steelers are going to win at Detroit?
I'm taking the Steelers.
You're taking the Steelers. You think the Steelers are going to win, and you think the Ravens are going to lose. Is that what you're thinking?
Sunday Night Football.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
So Sunday Night Football, the Ravens are going to lose at home to the Patriots, and Pittsburgh's going to go to Detroit and beat the Lions, right? Okay. And that would give the Steelers a 2-game lead.
Yes. Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I was hearing you correctly. So are we betting a smash burger on that?
I thought you were dreaming smash burger in there. You already got entitled to one yesterday. I got to know, how was your smash burger?
By the way.
Let everybody know. Let everybody know how your smash burger was.
The smash burger was a smashing success once I realized where we were supposed to meet for the smash burger.
45
once I got
later.
that straight, 45 minutes later, I showed up to lunch, and I enjoyed it. And it was really good.
Yeah.
They did not skimp. They don't skimp on the smash burgers there, do they? So it's a bet? So it's another smash burger bet? Is that what we're going with?
No, I can't make that. I still owe you one more. With one in the works yet still, I can't make another bet. I can't do that till the other bet's paid off.
So you got to pay off both bets before you make another smash burger bet.
I can't do it. Can't do it.
Okay. You're getting pretty wise now. I used to be able to walk you right into these, and now I can't do it as easily anymore.
I'm getting too much flack.
Kid.
I'm getting too much flack on these bets that I'm making from everybody else. I'm sick of hearing it.
Who's giving you flack? Give me their names. I'll talk to them.
I can't name drop, but you should have known in that Pittsburgh game that the Dolphins were going to come out and not play well. It was under 40 degrees, and now they pulled their quarterback. He's winless in games under 40 degrees anyway, so you knew darn well that the Miami Dolphins weren't going to win that game against Pittsburgh on Monday night.
So they benched. I guess they officially benched Tua now for the rest of the season. It's cold Ewers time in Miami.
Yeah. So we'll see, but it's going to be an interesting last 3 weeks of the National Football League, especially in that AFC North with the two big games coming up this weekend with Baltimore taking on New England and then Pittsburgh taking on Detroit. It's going to be an interesting end to the NFL season. That brings us to the end, JT, of this podcast. Would you like to touch on any wrestling things since you have your wrestling background? I don't follow it anymore, but, I can
I would just like to say that I would just like to say it's been a heck of a career for John Cena. He went out. He tapped out to Gunther last Saturday on Saturday night's main event. He had a smile on his face while he tapped out to the sleeper hold, and I just want to salute John Cena for a tremendous career and for his hustle, loyalty, and respect all these years in the WWE. And we're gonna miss him. And I know you're gonna miss him too. You've told me as much off air. We had a good cry together, and we're gonna miss old John Cena as he walks off into the sunset.
I do gotta say, I mean, I have watched a little bit of wrestling. I mean, I watched it back in the days of the WWF when it was the official WWF. The Saturday night's main event that used to come on every single night. I loved Saturday night's main event. I loved all the WrestleManias back in the day when you had to pay pay-per-view to watch the event. But since then, it just hasn't been the same for me. Minnie Hopper's been getting into it, and I even asked her when they were just at Hershey on Monday night, of course, taping Monday Night Raw, then Friday Night SmackDown. I said, "You want to go? You want to go to the show?" She's like, "No." I said, "You're watching it all the time. You're watching it more than I am on TV." I said, "Why don't we just go up and see it live if you want to go?" But I just, I don't know what it is. I can't get into the wrestling thing, knowing what you know about it. But it is. I mean, at times, if it's the last thing on TV, I'll watch it.
Well, I have a question though. If Minnie Hopper said she didn't want to go, then why don't you call me and say, "Hey, Minnie Hopper doesn't want to go. You want to go up and see Monday Night Raw?"
I should have called you. We got to do that next time. We got to go up and check that out. I haven't been to a live taping at Hershey of wrestling in quite a long time. I forget the last time. It had to be the late 80s that I was up at, and that was in the old arena. That was at Hershey Park Arena when they had it there.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been to Raw at Giant Center before. It's been a number of years, but I'm sure they'll be back. I mean, they usually draw a pretty good crowd when they come to Hershey, so I think that usually indicates that they'll be back at some point, whether it's Raw or a SmackDown.
I was just forewarned that the fans of wrestling are a little bit more out of control than actually the Philadelphia Eagles fans.
I don't know about that. Are you sure about that?
That's what I've been told.
Okay. Well, we'll have to put that.
It's a rumor on the street. You know, with all these $3,000 belts. Yeah, these $3,000 belts that you guys carry around to these wrestling events and hold them high. Like you're the champion of the world.
I think they might be twice that much.
Really? Crazy.
Oh, I think some of those are pretty expensive.
Crazy. Another episode of Broad Street and Beyond has wrapped up, JT, for this week. More sports to come. It's probably going to be early next week. We got Christmas holiday next week, so we're going to probably wrap it up early next week. But we can't thank all our subscribers, all the folks that are liking, sharing us. Just keep that in mind. That's how you get updated on all of our latest episodes of Broad Street and Beyond. Lots more guests to come, of course, on Broad Street and Beyond as well. But it's always a fun time, JT. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of the week here before Christmas. Get that shopping done and get your Christmas wrapping done, too.
Absolutely. I got it. It's right at the top of my list. I'm going to get started Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to get right on top of that.
I figured. Enjoy the sports, everybody. Thanks again.
All right. See ya.